Hey everyone, it's Leanne from Zoe Projects. Last time I did a video was actually in January. I remember because I had just taken down my decorations and I had every intention to follow it up with other videos, and it's now June, but that's okay. We have been busy on our blog reporting on the type of work that we're doing with vulnerable women around the globe, as well as reporting on the work that women are doing in Canada to raise funds and to raise awareness as we assist women around the globe. If you watched that video last January, I concluded by saying that women matter to Jesus. I based it on the passage in Matthew chapter 19, verse 14, where Jesus was interacting with children and saying, "The kingdom of heaven belongs to these children." I used to think that meant that the kingdom of heaven belongs to people with a childlike faith, that approach Jesus with that kind of faith. But I think it's more accurate here to say that the kingdom of heaven belongs to the least of these referring to the kids that he was ministering to, but also the women and the diseased. Really, the kingdom of heaven belongs to the vulnerable. Now, the society that Jesus was ministering in, women were very vulnerable in this society. There were power structures that had been organized over hundreds of years that reflected inequality. Women held a much lower status, and I hesitate to oversimplify this because there were women who were businesswomen. There were women with money and privilege and power. The Old Testament law provided safety nets for widows. Women could inherit property after it was challenged by the daughters of Zelophehad, which is a really cool story that you need to check out. But what we can say is that this was a male-dominated world. Decision makers were male. And these males influenced this control over women. And so a woman's experience depended on what kind of man she lived under the protection of. And so some men were benevolent and good, others were not. So had I been a woman married to the man that I'm married to, I would have done really, really well in this society because I'm married to a good man. But that was not always the case for women, and as a result, women were vulnerable to abuse and victimization. So Jesus, in his teaching, would say words and teach, but he would also demonstrate the values of this kingdom that he was always talking about. And so how did he demonstrate it? How did Jesus teach women? Or treat women? Well, in a system where education was by and large reserved for males, Jesus encouraged women to learn. He welcomed them into a place that had been previously off limits to them. In Luke chapter 8, we read that women were counted among his greatest friends and ministry supporters. We read in Mark that Jesus ignored the purity laws, the whole law about you can't touch a woman who's menstruating. Well, he ignored it to respond to a woman that had been bleeding for 12 years. Now, she was certainly dealing with the physicality of having her period for 12 years, but it went beyond that because she was ceremonially unclean. And because of that, she was outside her worship community. So she was ostracized and wasn't welcomed into the community. And so as she reaches out to touch him, he responds to this great faith and touches her. John chapter 4, probably one of the most famous accounts in all of the Gospels, the account of the woman at the well. This woman had so many strikes against her. She was Samaritan. She was female. She had a bad reputation because she'd been living with a series of men. I mean, she goes to the well at midday because she's an outsider in the community. Like somehow people are concerned that she will contaminate the rest of the community. And so she has to go in the heat of the day in order to draw water. Jesus, breaking time-honored cultural boundaries, sees her, talks to her, and meets her deepest need. Why? because she mattered. We could go on and on. See, Jesus taught us what was important, what is important. But it's not just with words. He taught us how to live. And if women are important to Jesus, they must be important to us. And so that's really the whole impetus behind Zoe Projects, because women are important to God. Our current Zoe project is Krista Couts in Thailand, in Bangkok actually. And Krista actually just had a baby a couple weeks ago, a little baby girl, which is so awesome. But Krista works in the bars in the red light area of Bangkok. And as she visits with women, as she connects with them, her whole goal is that they would get a glimpse of their value, and that they would be restored the dignity that Christ has for them, and give them a hope for something better. No one chooses to be in the red light area. Some people say it, but I don't buy it. No one chooses that. And so Zoe Projects, we're coming alongside Krista and saying the work that you're doing matters. The work that you're doing reflects the heart, the teaching, and the values that Jesus taught us. And so this summer, I don't know, maybe you've got some special events coming up. Maybe you can gather women and do something together to raise some funds so that we can fund Krista and her ministry, because it matters. So thanks so much for listening, and I hope it's not another 5 or 6 months before I do this again. But anyway, God bless you, and keep going. It matters. It matters. Anyway, God bless you.